Just gonna wait for some people to show up. Let's see what's going on down here. Got wires everywhere. Ay, 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 ay. So, in case you guys are wondering, why am I wearing a hat inside my room in the middle of September in Israel? You can see the map behind me. Well, when you get a haircut, and then your hair starts growing out, and it's got that kind of middle stage, things look a little weird, so I figured it's easier. Shana Tova Umetuka, everybody. I hope you had a nice good couple of days. I know that it's here in Israel, it's almost midnight. I think, it's 11 o'clock. If you're in the East Coast, it's probably 4 o'clock. The stock market just closed. And things are getting interesting, my friends. Like I said, the MS is coming out. The MS is coming out. We just heard today some news about this wonderful thing called pain of junction. I'm gonna use that terminology. Pain of junction. The pain of junction is the thing that made the different versions of the thing that we're dealing with right now. This is the pain of junction, and it was made by a certain Mr. Mousy, a certain a certain official, and we'll see what happens, my friends. But I'll tell you something. I spent 2 days in shul really thinking about just the interactions I was having with people, and I said to myself, you know what, Zvi? Just let things unravel. Let things unravel. Don't argue. Don't mention anything. Don't talk. Just let things unravel. And they are going to unravel for these people. For these evil people, they're going to unravel. With that said, I started talking about something at least what I thought was interesting. I started talking about it Erev Rosh Hashanah, right before Rosh Hashanah, and my phone died. So right in the middle of the podcast, right in the middle of the video. So I basically didn't get to finish, the other half of it. So I guess this is going to be, well, for some of you it's going to be take 2, for most of you it's going to be take 1. I heard an amazing idea. I don't know if you guys know Rabbi Manis Friedman. And Rabbi Manis Friedman said an amazing thing, or he said amazing 2 things, actually. He appeared on a radio show, a podcast. Actually, I forget the name of the lady, but she was in my World Zionist Organization, ZOA, Russian World Zionist Congress group that we were running for World Zionist Congress. And she has a very, popular radio show. I would say it's popular in the Russian community in Brooklyn. She herself is a Balshuva, I guess Lubavitch, you could say. And so basically she has Rabbi Friedman on her show every week. So this past week, usually it's on Tuesdays. So this week she had it earlier because of the holiday. So basically, she devoted the show to asking Rabbi Friedman, the question, what do you see in 5782? How do you see 5782? And he basically said, first of all, everything that humanity's been involved in up until this point, because he was basically saying how, like, humanity, we don't stand for wars anymore. We don't stand for corruption. We don't stand for this. We don't stand for lies, injustice, all these kind of things. But over the years, we kind of let it, it's funny. Like, I remember I used to talk to leftists. This is back in like 15 years ago. And you try to drive home the point, we have to defeat evil in our time, right? And they say, no, evil cannot be defeated. Evil people cannot be defeated. They can only be contained. And we just have to live with them. And we just have to, we know that they're going to exist. And that's the way it is. We just have to accept it, right? So for the last however many thousands of years, we just kind of lived in that state. We I think Rabbi Friedman, he mentioned, it's kind of like a cops and robbers. Sometimes we win, sometimes they win, whatever it is, but we accepted it, that it's always going to be here. And he said, now we got to a point, society has gotten to a point, we don't accept it. We don't. Ultimately, we don't. We're tired of it. Even the so-called self-styled leftists, whatever it is, in their own weird, strange way, I'm adding this, they also don't accept it, but they have different solutions for this. Okay? Slightly naive, but okay. So he was saying that, like, we have been toddlers, and he says the thing that we're going through now, this experience, this crazy mishigas, confusion, insanity, whatever you want to call it, is basically the growing pains for us to come out of this. And what's going to be after this is essentially the world of Mashiach. It's essentially going to be the world of Mashiach. That's what it is. And it's funny, guys, I was thinking, I add my own thing, it's funny, if you look at the two groups of people, especially in America, the debate, two groups that are debating each other, right? One group says, right, hey, don't tread on me. Don't close my business. Don't, take away my rights. Don't impose your will on me. Don't, dictate to me how I should, don't tell me what I should put in my body, right? I'll take whatever I want. Don't fire me, because I didn't take this substance, right? Why? Because ultimately they want to go back to normal. We want to go back to normal. We want to go back to our lives before the way they were before this. We want to go back to normal. What is the other group saying? The other group says, hey guys, let's all go take this stuff so that we can what? Go back to normal. My friends, you know what I say to both those groups? If you guys thought that what we had before this ordeal was normal, then you are not normal. My friend Stefan Ridu is asking, can I ask how Israel's been since the riots and stupidity on the Temple Mount by the Arabs, or are there still crazy things? That's a different topic. I'll talk about that at a different time. Yeah, you're right, there is no normal. Normal is Mashiach. That's normal. Normal is when you don't have corruption, when you don't have lies. That's normal. That's normal, my friends. So, the host went on to ask Rabbi Friedman, after he gave kind of this answer, so it still doesn't answer why, what's going to be in 5782. He basically said, if you look back in, at the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, the world started waking up spiritually, right? you had non-Jews, you had Jews. Basically, what was the phrase that they had? Tune in, tune in, turn out, and drop out. Something like that. Some of you older guys can correct me, but because people were dropping out of university, dropping out of school, and they were going to, the song, "Are you going to San Francisco? Da, 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 flowers in your hair." They were doing that. They were going to ashrams in Tibet. They were leaving, what normal was, the world, and they wanted to go find God. They went to Israel. Some people went to Israel, locked themselves in a box. Some people went to Tibet. Some people went here. Some people went there. They traveled the world, all for the purpose of finding Hashem. Or Freeman explained, he goes, what people don't realize is that that's not the point. Hashem is not somewhere. The point is to bring Hashem back to our world. Because you look around you, basically Western society has pushed Hashem away. It's kind of like, I always think of the phrase, in Rome, ancient Rome, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, give to God what is God's, separation of church and state. We've basically taken Hashem out of the equation. Guys, it's interesting. I was thinking, it's almost like, and I know they're crazy, I know they're barbarians, but it's almost like a kind of a consciousness godsend, that the Taliban is back on the scene, at least visually, and they're back in the consciousness of the world, right? Because you look at these guys represent something that the Western world hasn't seen, which is what? People who want to, have a society, run a government based on some modicum of some kind of, I guess you could say, godly policies, godly ideas. Whether or not you agree with Islam, fundamentalist Islam, stonings and this, that, and the other, that's a separate discussion. But the point is, you have a particular society where, and it's funny, like these guys, their stuff flies in the face of everything that like the woke movement espouses. I was always saying, like, for a while now, what's going to happen first? Are the Islamists in America going to eat the woke, or are the woke going to eat the Orthodox Jews, right? So now we see, guys, like the woke are going to have to make some decisions because they see what's going on with what, it's like, will the real Islam please stand up? And it just stood up, right? It's the Taliban. It's like in front of your face. You can't ignore it, right? Today I just saw a headline. The Taliban guys erased a mural of George Floyd in Kabul. I guess some of these soldiers drew it. I don't know who drew it. And they replaced it with Islamic phrases, right? So now you want to ask the question of the woke, right? I think they're conveniently ignoring this, right? This whole situation. But like, you see that like, there is an entity in the world, somewhere in the world, that's trying to bring Hashem, whatever version of representation of Hashem you want to say, into public life. They're trying to bring it into public life, where the Western world completely pushed it out, right? And we've been saying for years, people commentating for years, that nature abhors a vacuum, right? If you take out, let's say, Christianity or Islam, or Judaism out of the equation, then you're going to have what you just said, not the Islam, but the extreme Islam. However it is, right? It's just, that's the way it goes. But Rabbi Friedman basically said, he's like, the whole point is to bring Hashem back into public life. And he said that today, it's not going to be a thing where people get up and leave, people leave, their whatever it is, their community to go to yeshiva, to go to ashram. It's going to be a thing where a Jew who's completely non-observant one day gets up and he says, I remember that rabbi, he had me put on tefillin once, a few months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago. Maybe we should start putting on tefillin. He basically says, without any fanfare, without any kiruv organizations, without any shtick, without any bells and whistles or fireworks or firecrackers, just people get back to the natural state. Adam, we just celebrated Rosh Hashanah. This was the birthday of Adam, right? Adam gets back to his natural state of being, which is to cleave to Hashem, to find what's called dvekut, cleaving, I guess you can translate it, dvekut, to Hashem. That is the state that the Jewish people, and by extension the world, is going to have to come back to. And my friends, it's interesting. There's a lot of commentators, conservative commentators, that were talking about this. They were saying that, there's going to be a spiritual revival. They were talking about America, but not just America, Europe as well. In the Jewish world as well. But the Jewish world has to lead, The Jewish world has to lead. It's interesting, as much as like, right now we have in power here in Israel, like the left wing and like kind of like modern, Dati Leumi, Bennett, people who are just anti-Torah, right? We even have like a person from the New Hope Party, who are supposed to be supposedly kind of more traditional. She just came out and said, oh, we should have less Tanakh, like less Bible and more, I don't know, random expression of by the kids, whatever the hell that means. What, giving them, candy and have them run around like maniacs? What? Like, what is she talking about? Okay, so he basically said that, we're just going to see this thing. It's going to be just a very organic revival. It's going to be an organic revival. And he said that is basically the Mashiach era. That is basically Mashiach. That's essentially what that is. That is essentially what that is, guys. And, I'll tell you, we're not meant to come out of this experience the same way as when we came in. We're not. This is almost like a mikvah kind of thing. It's definitely a purification. It's a tahara. It's a kapara, an atonement, and a tahara, a purification, all in one. Shana tova, my friend Phil, loyal listener. It's a tahara. It's a kapara. It's a purification. It's a rectification. So, it's funny. I was watching. I know you guys seen there's clips of like college football stadiums packed, right? And people are just going crazy. They're having this like religious experience, and I'm thinking to myself like, these guys want to get back to normal so bad. And the irony is that, I'm looking at this and I'm like, wow, so like this is what Mashiach is going to look like. People are going to fill stadiums and go like berserk in stadiums, not to see guys running up and down with a leather ball. They're going to fill stadiums to hear the words of Torah. That's what they're going to fill the stadiums. Huh? There you go. It's all good, guys. It's all good. That's what happens. 1 second, maybe I can turn this off somehow. Let's see if I can turn it off. Can I? Can I do it? No. Can't do it. Anyways. Oh, stopped. Okay, good. Anyways, guys. Yeah, that's what we're meant to be. We're not meant to get back to normal. Again, wherever you stand on this smacks, right? On this issue, take it, don't take it. It doesn't matter, guys. We're not meant to get back to normal. We're not meant to, we're not meant to go back to our cubicles, to our companies, to our jobs. We're meant to have jobs, but we're not meant to get back to the normal that we thought was normal, which was not normal at all. My friends, the only thing that's normal, the only thing that's really normal is the emes, the emet, the truth. And now the question is, as Jack Nicholson once said, he said, you can't handle the truth. That's a question. Can we handle? Are we going to be able to handle the truth? A lot of people, the truth is coming out now, right? Whether it's regarding the people who created this thing, whether it's regarding, reporting of issues from supposed remedy, whether it's regarding other remedies that are supposed to be the thing, the real remedies, right? The truth is slowly, tick, 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 tick. My friends, remember Rabbi Akiva? Water on a rock. Tick, 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 tick. Next thing you know, my friends, there's a giant hole. And the truth and the water just comes out and floods the world, my friends. I was saying this for already a couple of months, and this is again in the name of Dov Bar-Leib, who wrote about this. I'm telling you guys right now, this is it. We're still, a day after Rosh Hashanah. We're gonna have Yom Kippur next week, and then the following week we're gonna have Sukkot. More and more truth bombs. I'm telling you guys, more and more truth bombs. And B'ezrat Hashem, when this is going to be done, and it will be done soon because there's actually a preset timeline, which I won't get into in this video. There is a preset timeline, more or less, give or take a few months. The same mousy guy just mentioned something about April or March. I think it might be sooner. Okay. And my friends, when we get out of this, when the thing is artificially stopped, okay, we're going to be in a completely different world and in a different consciousness. And I think it's interesting now that, I just saw the trailer for Matrix 4, Resurrections. What is it called? Resurrections? The Matrix Resurrections. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And, Bonte Bernstein said, not in America. Actually, Dafka in America. I'll tell you why. Because whatever was tried in Israel a few months ago, all these mandates and all this and all that and mandatory testing, I'll tell you like this, Israelis stood for it. Israelis put up with it. Americans are not going to put up with it. At least half of Americans are not going to put up with it, especially the ones that already took 2. They're not going to take a 3rd. They're not going to be kicked out of their jobs. And if they are, my friends, we're entering a new era. We're entering a new era. All right, guys. That's all I got for tonight. And in the words of Rabbi Kessin, we'll see what happens. All right. Shana Tova u'metuka. And if I don't speak to you, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbos Shuva. The Shabbat of return. We will return to ourselves. I have seen the news today, but I have a lot of stuff's coming out. A lot of stuff coming out. Go on Twitter. Go on Twitter. By the way, guys, if you're on Twitter, I know you also buy it as well. I recommend, there's some accounts I recommend. There's a guy, he has actually a very, very funny name on Twitter, and he posts a lot of really good stuff. His name is Cat Turd, which is like funny. Cat, like C-A-T, T-U-R-D, all one word. I think he's Cat Turd 2 at this point, because I think Cat Turd 1 got, removed. That's one. There's another channel called Zero Hedge. Zero Hedge is a website, financial stuff, but they also cover like this issue. There's another account called Disclose TV, disclose.tv, like disclose.tv. There's also Konstantin Kissin. Was like he was a stand-up comedian, but he was in the, yeah. Batya, I mentioned this, and I mentioned that Americans are not going to stand for it. I don't know if you've been listening, but anyway. And also, the last one I want you guys to look at is, what's another good account on Twitter? Oh yeah, Dr. Robert Malone, one of the developers of mRNA tech, not the vaccine, but the mRNA tech. He posts a lot of interesting things. And yeah, guys, there's just a lot of interesting information that comes out every single hour, if not day. And people are just, people talk a lot about misinformation. I think I think it's less misinformation. I think people are just underinformed. They're underinformed and uninformed. They're not misinformed, they're underinformed. They get their stuff from one source and that's it. And yeah, Australia. Listen, that Australia is a dystopia. It's Australia is like it's like a warning sign for us. Australia is what we should be looking at to say, oh my God, like Chas v'shalom, we should go down that path, right? Listen, it's a penal colony. So the country became a penal colony. They started as a penal colony. They're gonna end as one. You can take the whatever. No comment on Australia. Kitzer, good things are on the way, my friends. Good things are on the way. And like I said, Sukkot is going to be something very interesting. Very interesting. All right, guys. Catch you on the flip side. Shana Tova.